All right, I have Marianne Williamson's statement on Trump's indictment. I haven't been doing as many news stories with her, and one of the reasons for that is because during the homeless saga, it was harder to kind of like sit down and watch a whole thing and edit it and stick it together. So I'll just read her statement and give my thoughts. The indictment of a former president on charges related to the Espionage Act is a sobering development. As Donald Trump appears in court today, all Americans, regardless of our political affiliation, should be hoping for a fair and impartial trial for the former president. Mr. Trump and his lawyers have the right to defend his case in court, and all of us as citizens have the responsibility to honor our criminal codes of justice. No person is above the law, and all are innocent until proven guilty. Both apply to the former president as they apply to every American. The law should be a nuanced instrument, not a meat cleaver, and it should never be an instrument of personal grievance. Such a case as this, if prosecuted unfairly, could set a dangerous precedent. It is to every American's benefit, therefore, that Mr. Trump receives equal justice before the law. A fair trial and equal justice depends on a commitment to non-interference from those who have anything political to gain from this case. For that reason, it is unfortunate that many Republicans in Washington, D.C. have taken to the media to undermine the credibility of the indictment and attack the integrity of the special counsel before Mr. Trump has had his day in court. Their actions damage the American people's faith in our courts and the rule of law, and recent polling confirms a corrosive influence on the process. The special prosecutor in this case, Jack Smith, is a registered independent with a long record of service. In his career, he has worked with the Justice Department, international courts, and in the private sector. As chief of the Justice Department's Public Integrity Unit, he prosecuted both Democratic and Republican officials. To be clear, Smith is not working to further the political agenda of the Biden administration. Such charges are false, and those who are making them know that. An investigation was conducted, and a grand jury made the decision to indict. The goal of the system is to be an impartial witness to the facts. I have no doubt that those involved in the indictment have done their best to achieve that, and that those who will be involved in the trial going forward will seek a similarly high standard of justice. Our role today is not to predetermine the outcome that most suits a particular political objective, but to reinforce the importance of an impartial justice system and our faith in our fellow Americans to achieve a just resolution. Today is one small step in that process. In the coming months, others will use this trial to further their own agenda, but I will not. I hope you will join me in that commitment. She also has a link to donate. I did that earlier today. Gave her like $2. And she has her official merchandise, which I'm very disappointed that they ran out of the hats. They've been out of them for a while. But to get into some actual substantive stuff that she said, I think she understands. She mentions that these Republicans know that, because a lot of people will say Republicans are dumb, because they disagree with them, or they like whatever. But what's happening is a lot of the Republicans, including many of the ones who have been lawyers, like Rubio, for example, who was on Fox yesterday, are trying to paint this narrative that Biden's Justice Department is going after Trump, and they're trying to stop him from reclaiming his victory in the Republican primary, even though Smith, as Williamson points out, is someone who's prosecuted Democrats in the past as well. But as she said, they don't, they're aware of like what they're saying is not true. It's all part of the reason I don't really like party politics, and especially Democrats do it as well, but I'm just, as of things relating now, not to this extent, because Trump is the first former president to ever be indicted. Isn't it sad when you have many of these politicians who take this oath of office to the Constitution, and many of whom have gone, again, to law school, so they have some basic understanding of laws. And before we even have a day of a trial or anything having to do with seeing what the evidence is and allowing things to play themselves out, they're already telling you this is false, it's fake. There's the Democrats are trying to do this. And I've said before, I'm no Democrat lover. I really I'm at a point where I couldn't care less if Biden wins re-election or not, or if the Democrats lose the House or the Senate, because I don't think they're doing anything. Well, they lost the House, but I don't think they're doing anything that remotely warrants me being, so firmly in their camp as to hope that Trump gets convicted. Um, I want him to have a fair trial where they show the evidence, and if there's not enough to get him, then he gets acquitted, and if there is enough to get him, then he gets convicted. It's as simple as that. I have no special, like, you have people on Twitter, lock him up, lock him up. I'm not convinced that's going to happen. I'm just waiting to see how this plays out. But it's of no political benefit to me if he gets put in prison, because, like I said, I'm not some enthusiastic supporter of Democrats. In fact, actually, I think it hurts the Democrats more so if he is able to, not, like, if this trial had just never happened, I think they would be in for a lot of issues if one of the Republicans, like Haley or even DeSantis, was able to be the nominee, since they don't have the same record of, like, I lost and this was stolen from me and they I have no proof, but believe me. So I think they would actually have more to lose if this trial wasn't going on and it was some other generic Republican that was leading the field at this point. But yeah, I just, like, this statement again is about this trial, and I really care very little about it. I'm more of a policy person. Whenever they start talking about trials and investigations, I just start rolling my eyes. But I like Williamson's statement on it because she's making the point of saying, hey, the person that they're talking about has prosecuted people from both parties. The Republicans that are saying it's all fake and charges are hoax, they know that this is not some Democrat thing, but they're doing it to shore up, to basically lie to their base to get them to donate. And she's committed to Trump getting a fair trial because, and this is the one thing I agreed with when I was watching Fox yesterday, if were it to actually be something of, oh, they're just trying to go after him because they're Democrats and he's Republican, that would set a dangerous precedent where there's investigations into former elected officials and current ones just for the sake of going after your political opposition. But I don't think that's the case here. I think he's done some things that are very unique in terms of crimes. And again, if a trial proves that he hasn't done these things or otherwise finds him to not have committed any violations that would warrant, some conviction, then I'll sit by it. I'm not, it's not a big deal to me, but I'm glad that she put out her statements and, tried to kind of clarify things a bit.